On today's Locked On Bama, we're going to continue Jimmy Stein's world-famous Alabama roster countdown. Quindarrius Robinson, Kristian Story, and Justin Jefferson. No, not that one.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, hey everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. I think I hit one of the wrong buttons, but that's okay. I'm Luke Robinson. I don't even remember what would I say. Hey everybody, welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, we're going to keep up with our countdown. Can you even hear me?
I hear you great. Unfortunately, we hear you great.
Well, I thought I was going to have this picturesque view behind me. You can see I got the beach hair, don't care. I'm at Orange Beach, and really it just looks like a lot of light coming through here. Like I'm staring into my own death. But anyway, Jimmy, we're going to keep going with the countdown today. We're going to start with Quindarrius Robinson. A couple of things, just going back and looking at Q Robinson. No relation, by the way. I forgot he got arrested for a DUI like in 2021. I forgot about that. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, see, this is one of the positive things.
He was asleep in his car, if I remember right. He was asleep in his car, which is a little different than speeding down the highway while you're wasted at 88 miles an hour. I mean, I think he was in the car asleep.
All right,
the keys were
I'm pulling up the story because, well, frankly, it's not really important except for my own edification now. He said Robinson was involved in a 3-car collision in Tuscaloosa late Saturday night. Nobody was injured, but Robinson was taken to jail. And that's all I see. So, I mean, maybe he was asleep and like 2 other people ran into him, which would really suck for him getting a DUI.
It would explain a crash if he was asleep in the car. But
well,
I remember that he had a DUI, but I also think that's like the only time he's ever been in trouble. I think he got shot in high school.
I think so too.
Yeah, I'm like when he was a young player in high school. But yeah, man. So I guess he's been through it, which is part of the reason he's come through the other side pretty good. I mean, this guy.
Wait a minute. Before you get into it, that's what I wanted to say. First of all, I did want to say I have a family relative who will remain nameless, who did fall asleep while drunk after a Waffle House meal, and he had spent about $25 at Waffle House, and he said, "I'm too drunk to drive." He walked out on the ticket accidentally, and so he put his keys in the back seat to sleep it off, and put on the air conditioner. No, he didn't put his keys in the back seat. I guess his keys were in the ignition.
Yeah, to start the air conditioner.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. But he was going to sleep it off. He was not driving. And I guess the Waffle House people thought he was making the world's slowest getaway because they called the cops and like his car was running, the AC was on and he was passed out, but he was not trying to go anywhere. And so the cops come and they're like, and he's like, "Yeah, can I help you?" And he's like, "Well, you're drunk asleep in a cranked car. That's bad." And he was like, "And you didn't pay your Waffle House bill." He was like, "Well, should I pay that first and then you take me to jail, or how does this work?" But anyway, so what I was going to say about Q Robinson was that, when all these people come out and you see like a kid gets a DUI and you're like, "Get him off the team. I don't ever want to see him again. He's giving us a bad name." Quindarrius Robinson got a DUI. He's fine. As far as I know, there hadn't been another incident, as far as I know. And that was 2021. It's now 2023. He's come through. So this is an argument for not saying, hey, everybody should get a DUI. I'm saying that everybody should get a second chance. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. Especially so anyway, go on with Q and his performance.
Yeah, especially college kids. He came to Alabama really as a hyped player. A lot of people, I remember, ranked him as maybe the top prospect in the state of Alabama, and with good reason. I liked him a lot as a prospect. One of the reasons being he started off his career in high school as a DB. This was a real rangy athlete, and he just grew tremendously to the point that by the time he was a senior, he was a line of scrimmage pass rusher. So he took that size and that natural athleticism, and you knew that would ended up being a pretty good football player. And it was slow going at first. I think he had issues. And then again, Luke talked about the trouble back in 2021. But I would say it was about halfway through last season, he sort of turned the corner. And next thing you know, he's on the field with the first team. Now, he didn't play a ton of first team snaps, but he was out there with the ones, I think even against Auburn. I mean, in an undecided game, just literally playing with the first team. And that means he sort of arrived this spring with Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell out with injury. Q was a first team outside linebacker the entirety of the spring, all 15 practices. That gave him a lot of good experience playing with the ones for 15 straight days. Started in the 8A game, played really well, especially affecting the passer. Q's a good player. I think he is no worse than the third outside linebacker right now on the team, which means he's going to play. We're going to see quite a bit of him. And last year he was already a significant player on special teams. Yeah, there was a huge error he made in the Tennessee game. That was really bad. But it's also an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to get better, right? I mean, you got to make the mistakes before you can become the best player you can possibly be. He's got to play full speed, regardless of the mistakes. Everybody's going to make them. So Q is really sort of coming to his own, I think, and is sort of turning into the player now that we thought he might be. Still tough to get into the starting lineup with Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell ahead of him, Keon Keeley coming up behind him. But Q is in a position to be a significant player on this team this fall. Oh, and you're muted. Which
God, so
you're muted. You wish you were the whole time you were talking about his DUI.
So how many good plays does it take to make up for the Tennessee gaffe?
Three. I think should be the line. Yeah, three really good plays.
Because like in business, like for every one bad review, you got to have 10 good reviews or something like that, like to make up for it.
I don't know. We're still waiting on that 10th good review here. We need like 8 more good reviews here for the lockdown.
We'll let you know.
Yeah, when we get to 10.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. If you want to talk about what our society is like, we forgive a DUI much more quickly than we forgive a kid trying to jump on a punt, causing a turnover in the Tennessee game. Right? Because I had completely forgotten about his DUI. I will never forget that turnover in the Tennessee game.
That is true and pathetic of all of us. We're all in trouble for this. Everyone listening.
All right, let's tell everybody about FanDuel. FanDuel is just the absolute best. It's the biggest and the best. That's just what it is. I mean, you can't fight what things are. Can't fight facts. So take your first swing at Major League Baseball on FanDuel. I would bet on the Braves. They're never, ever, 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 ever going to lose again, much to my chagrin. On FanDuel, you get 10 times your first bet, the amount in bonus bets. That's up to $200. $200 in bonus bets. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting on everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to beat the Braves first, which the answer is nobody. All of that on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. You get paid instantly. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. I don't know why I felt compelled to go $200 like that. That was dumb, but it was. You try to add your own little flavor in each one of these things, and that was very vanilla flavoring. Anyway, so let's talk now about Kristian Story. It is no secret you and I have both had a crush on Kristian Story ever since he arrived at the University of Alabama. We keep waiting for him to go out there and the light will come on. I'm not sure the light's ever been off. I don't know that he's had a true position. But I'm so, you pull for everybody that's on the team, but I'm so pulling for Kristian Story. I mean, what a literal story.
It is a tremendous story. Well, first of all, I mean, in talking about, okay, why haven't we seen much of Kristian Story? Because he's been around. Well, I mean, he has had guys in front of him, right? I mean, older guys that were already playing ahead of him. And now all those guys have moved on to the NFL. Jordan Battle and DeMarco Hellams have been the starting safety for a while now. Both were seniors last season, and they've moved on to the NFL. And by the way, I heard Jordan Battle's doing really well in Cincinnati, and is probably expected to be a starter. And Hellams was a good player too. And they're gone. And the third safety, by the way, was Brian Branch, who played some safety, but primarily at star. But he was with the safety group. And Story just couldn't be expected as a young player to beat out any of those guys. But now he's got a chance. This is his far and away his best chance. I think he's a redshirt junior this fall, and this is his best chance to get in the starting lineup. And he was out there with the ones most of the spring. Started with the ones on A Day, and if you remember, had a nice interception, a big play in the game, almost ran it back for a touchdown when he intercepted Jalen Milrow. Now, is Kristian going to remain a starter? It's going to be tough. Caleb Downs came in, and he's a freak. I say as the highest compliment we can give. I mean, Caleb Downs looks like a true freshman, day one, game one starter. And then Malachi Moore, who's played a lot of the hybrid positions for Alabama, star and money. Malachi being the most experienced DB on the roster, may be a full-time safety. And if it's Malachi Moore and Caleb Downs, then Kristian Story may be squeezed out again. There is the money position. I think he'd have a good spot or a good shot at being the sixth DB in the dime packages. And then along comes Jalen Key, the UAB transfer. So it isn't easy on Kristian Story finding a spot. But I believe if he does, he's going to be a good player. I think he's ready to be a starter. But I think, as usual, Alabama's depth of talent is outstanding at the safety spot. And whether Story's out there or not, safety is going to be in pretty good hands. They would be if Kristian was playing. So we'll see. Hopefully he'll stick with it. Boy, 2 mutes on one day. That is well, you are on vacation.
I am on vacation so bad. Like, I had to come down in the lobby because all my family is asleep upstairs, and 2 mutes in one day. I'm going for the trifecta, Jimmy. Going for the hat trick in this next segment.
Well, but you have a third segment.
Kristian Story's dad is a coach, so right. You feel like kids like that can be one of two things. Like, either the coach is going to be so upset his kid isn't playing immediately that he's going to want him to transfer like ASAP. Or he's going to be like, hey, you got to bide your time. You got to do your thing, trust this process, all that stuff. And I feel like he is more of a trust the process guy because Kristian Story has hung around. And not just hung around. I mean, I think he's practiced well. I mean, he is a good player. Has he been able to break through? No. But it is not all black and white where you go, okay, either you're a starter at Alabama or you suck. That's not the way this works. He is going up against guys like Jordan Battle, like Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a freakazoid. Don't be mad. You can't get on to Kristian Story if Caleb Downs and he are going for the same position and Caleb Downs wins. Caleb Downs has been destined for the NFL since he was about 6 years old. Kristian Story is a fantastic player that I love immensely and want him on the field. But if Caleb Downs is better, I think we got to play Caleb Downs or whatever it is. I want Kristian Story to work. I don't know. I don't think it's because of his lack of effort. A lot of times you can say, hey, I want the light to come on, or hey, I want his work ethic to improve, or hey, I wish he'd put his focus on football rather than, women in shoes or whatever. What a weird thing to say. But I think his focus is all in the right place. It just, I don't know if it's all going to come together, Jimmy.
Yeah, me neither. I think a coach's kid is really the best way to describe him. I think there's a real instinctive kid. I think he's a playmaker because he's a good diagnoser, right? I mean, I think he sees the play. He's intercepted quite a few balls in scrimmage situations over the past 2 or 3 seasons on that practice field because I think he's just really good at seeing the play, understanding where he's supposed to be, knows the scheme well. I think what holds him back, if anything, is he's probably not one of the better pure athletes in the DB room. I think he gets out-athleted at times by some of the other kids, but it's not for lack of effort. It's not for instincts or toughness. He just gets a little out-athleted, and a kid like Caleb Downs shows up, who's, one of the best athletes in America. He's going to be tough to beat out. And Malachi, with all his experience, he's going to be tough to beat out. And then here comes Jalen Key that you bring him out of the transfer portal. He's in his last year. He's an older kid. The thing is, you keep hating to say to Kristian, hey, give it one more year because things are opening up. But the fact of the matter remains, let's say he doesn't beat out Caleb or Malachi at safety, and he doesn't win the money spot because of Jalen Key. Well, Malachi's probably moving on to pro football. So is Jalen Key. You'll have another good shot next spring. But, there's Devontae Smith, there's Jake Pope, there's Bray Hubbard. They're really high on those guys, to say nothing of a position switch from a corner moving to safety could happen. So next year, maybe it looks like the year, but we've said that a couple of times for Kristian. So we'll see. He's certainly a good player. And, hey, Nick Saban, the recruiting is great. The recruiting isn't great 1 through 22. The recruiting's great 1 through 85. We got a lot of good players on the team that just don't really get their opportunity.
All right, Jimmy, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Justin Jefferson. Not that one. And we're back. Justin Jefferson has joined the squad. He was there for A-Day. He looked small. I mean, we talked about it right after A-Day. He looked small, but he packs a punch in that little package. The best picture I could find of him was from 24/7 Sports. I'll give them credit. This also kind of told you everything you need to know about him. 6'1", 215. I would challenge the 6'1". Would you?
He looks small. I mean, he does. I don't know an exact, camp type measurement. I would just say 6'1", and I think he's actually listed on the Alabama roster right now, Luke. I think off the top of my head, 6'1", 223. He doesn't look it. And then he wears that number 28 jersey, which is a jersey number commonly worn by defensive backs, right? So he wears like a DB's jersey, and he looks like a DB when he's out there, and that doesn't help. But no, Jefferson is real interesting, big hitter, super athletic. He's in that mix at inside linebacker. We get really what we have there, Luke, is 4 guys who are really basically competing for 2 spots, two inside linebacker spots: Deontay Lawson, Justin Jefferson, Jihad Campbell, and Trez Marshall. I think those 4 are your primary candidates to be the starters at the 2 inside linebacker spots. And any of the 2 could win it, including Jefferson, who was probably the best JUCO linebacker in the nation a year ago. Picked up on things pretty quickly. I hear from inside the program, very hard worker, very smart, picked up on things. And on A-Day, Luke, it's just one practice, one day. I think you could argue that on A-Day, he was the best inside linebacker on the field. He made several athletic-looking plays. Again, very aggressive, a big hitter, a new age inside linebacker. A guy's going to be pretty good in coverage, a guy that's going to be rangy, play sideline to sideline. He's not an inside thumper, but he does pack a lot of punch in that small frame for a linebacker. So it'll be interesting to see whether he wins one of these spots. If not, I suspect he'll be one of our best special teams players. He'll be a significant player on the team this fall. My guess is the inside linebackers end up being Deontay Lawson and Trez Marshall. But Justin Jefferson's a good player. So is Jihad Campbell.
I think if Justin Jefferson doesn't start and they're like, you're going to start out on special teams, we may get you on the field later, you think Quindarrius Robinson looks at him in one of the meetings and goes, if you see a ball on the ground after a punt, don't touch it.
I hope he does. Somebody's got to tell these guys, obviously.
I mean, that's got to be something like they go over like a bunch now. I mean, it's so that play haunts me. It reminds me so much of who was the guy for the Dolphins or the Cowboys? Leon Lett. Leon Lett tried to pick up a ball in the snow, if you remember, like after a botched kick or something against the Dolphins on Thanksgiving, and he couldn't grab it because there was snow everywhere or something, like in Dallas. It was weird.
If it was like if I remember right, it was a Thanksgiving. It was a Thanksgiving Day game. Yeah, because the Cowboys play every Thanksgiving at 3:00, and I think it was that game. I went to high school with Leon Lett. Not a lot of people remember that because Leon wasn't a significant college player, but I went to high school with Leon.
You think Leon Lett's ever said, I went to school with Jimmy Stein?
I'm sure he is not. I'm sure he is not.
All right, I know
Even though I had a class with him and I helped him with some of his schoolwork, he still doesn't remember. I'm sure, nor should he. I was in the 10th grade when he was in the 12th grade, and I took biology, and Leon was in that class.
I have a feeling like he's just so big. Like one day he accidentally picked you up thinking you were his number 2 pencil and like was using your head to erase something off his paper.
It would have been something very, very similar to that. Leon actually in high school was he filled out as a pro. So, my recollection at Fairhope would have been he was probably about 6'6", 200.
Well, here's what
maybe 6'6", 200. Then he ended up being 6'6", 290. In the NFL.
I don't want this to be Quindarrius Robinson's fate, but Leon Lett was really good NFL player, like not screwing around NFL player.
Oh yeah, he was all pro.
He was good. And he's remembered for that play that I just talked about, and then the play where he's running in the Super Bowl, like celebrating with the ball, and the little diminutive receiver for Buffalo knocks it out of his hands, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head.
Right.
I can't remember, but I'm saying I don't want that to be Quindarrius Robinson's fate, because if you're Leon Lett and you have jewelry, I mean, you won Super Bowls, you were a big deal, you played in the NFL a long time, you made a ton of money, and when you're sitting around hanging with your friends and family, and they bring somebody, and they're like, "Oh, you're Leon Lett." He's like, "Yeah, I'm Leon Lett." He's like, "You're the one that tried to pick up that ball in the bad weather." And he's like, he can have like, "I won the Super Bowl" in the background, whatever, but it doesn't matter. That's what he's remembered for. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow with more Countdown. Until then, Jimmy, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.